O you mighty king, on whose India the newborn sun directs its first beam, shines on your palace in mid-hemisphere and casts his last ray on the Brazils. You to whom we look to yoke and humble Arabia's wild horseman, infidel Turks and India's sons and daughters, who yet drink the Ganges' sacred waters. Descend a little from such majesty, for I see on your youthful countenance already inscribed that maturity you will bear to eternity's temple. Bend your royal and benign eyes earthwards and behold this loving tribute, the most valiant deeds of modern times, given to the world in sure, well cadenced rhymes. You will witness a love of country not driven by greed but true and enduring, for it is no unworthy reward to be famed, writing in praise of my native land. Observe, you will see names exalted of those of whom you are supreme Lord, and you can judge which is the better case, king of the world or king of such a race. Observe, it is not for counterfeit exploits, fantasies such as muses elsewhere have dreamed or invented that you will hear your people acclaimed. Historic deeds such as theirs transcend fables and would eclipse Bion's Orlando and Ariosto's too, even if all they wrote of him were true. Instead, I give you Nuno Alvares, who showed country and king such service. It would take Homer's lyre to commend sufficiently Igaz Moniz and Fuaz Raupinzo. I think these are people who were near and dear him in his exploits, in his trips, in his journeys, in his duets of swords and so on. And here comes Digama. For France's 12 peers, I give you the 12 of England, led by Magrico and likewise Vasco da Gama, whose genius snatched renown from wandering Aeneas. If you are looking for stature equal to Charlemagne or Julius Caesar, consider Afonso the First, whose lance eclipsed all foreign reputations, or Joao the First, whose reign bequeathed us the security of his great victory, or the second Joao honorably spurred, or the fourth or fifth Afonso, or the third. Nor will my lines leave uncommemorated those who in the lands of the dawn bore their arms with such excellence. Your standard was always victorious, matchless, Paccio and the fearsome Almeidas, whom the Tagus still laments. Albuquerque the fierce, Castro the brave, and others whose exploits have survived the grave. While I celebrate these, I say nothing of you, great king, not presuming so far, take up the reins of your kingdom, to furnish matter for another epic. Let the world tremble as it senses all you are about to accomplish, Africa's land and oriental seas, the promised theatre of your victories. On you the fearful Moor has his eyes fixed, knowing his fate prefigured. At a glimpse of you, the unbroken Indian offers his neck to the yoke. Tithys, Neptune's bride, has prepared the world's green oceans as a dowry, holding your youth and beauty in such awe. She hopes to win you for her son-in-law. There gaze down the Mount Olympus, your two grandsires, famous in the day, one for the golden peace of his reign, the other for his bloody battles, Both look to see resurrected in you their times and heroic works, keeping in earnest of their true paternity, your place in the temple of eternity. But while your long reign passes slowly, matching your people's dearest wish, look kindly on my boldness, so this epic may become your own. Look kindly on my boldness, as this epic may become your own. And this exactly is transnational, transcontinental literature. Being written in 16th century. Historians are doing this today. I mean, writers less. I think historians are doing it today, talking about histories. I think even writers talking of diaspora writing, of people who have migrated, etc. But he's talking about it at that point in time, so that this epic may becomes yours, right? You will watch cutting the salt seas Portuguese Argonauts who will see in turn they are washed over by you. Be ready to hear your name invoked in jeopardy. They were midday on the wide ocean, cleaving the ever restless waves. The billowing wind blew gently, the sails of the ships were concave. White spume was whipped backwards as the mighty prows sped on, cutting the sacred waters of the deep, where the cattle of Proteus never sleep. Where the gods on radiant Olympus, from where the human race is governed, there, assembling in glorious council to decide the future of the Orient, they advanced across the lovely spangled heavens, treading the Milky Way, summoned on Jove the Thunderer's decree by Atlas's winged grandson, Mercury. They left the managing of the seven spheres, deputed them by the supreme power who governs by thought alone the skies, the earth, and the raging seas. An instant brought together those from the frozen Arctic or the South Pole, or living at earth's remotest ends, where dawn breaks or where the sun descends. Jove was present in all his majesty on a throne of crystal stars, shaking the thunderbolts forged by Vulcan, his demeanor stern and dominating, his countenance glowed with a grace such as could render a man immortal. His scepter and his crown made radiant by gems like diamonds, but more brilliant, on glittering thrones inlaid with gold and pearls, but lesser than Jove's. The other gods took their seats, as reason and good order ordained, the vulnerable well to the fore, the venerable well to the fore, the juniors accepting their station. Then Jove spoke, making his purpose known, with gravity and menace in his tone. Immortal tenants of the glistening, star-bearing poles and bright heaven, there cannot have passed from your thoughts the strength and courage of the Portuguese. And now it is common knowledge what the fates have in store for them, conquests which recall the ancient hour of Syrian, Persian, Greek, or Roman power. So it is applauding the Portuguese uh, achievements, conquests, victories, while forging an international bridge. But remember the times. This is 16th century, beautifully written, right? These are cantos of valor. You can feel the tempo, the you know, not exactly the pen being used as a sword, but it's a conversational style and written with that tone of bravery and valor and applauding all of that. One more. You've already witnessed how ill-equipped and hopelessly outnumbered they broke the Moors' army at Auric, freeing both banks of the sweet Tejo. Again, at Aljubarrota they gained heaven's favor against Fier Castile, afterwards returning to their halls with wagon loads of trophies for their walls. Portuguese conquest again. I say nothing, gods of those earlier days when Under Viriatus, in their struggle with the might of Rome, they achieved such great laurels. I pass too over the compelling time they chose for themselves as leader. Sertorius, that rebellious foreigner who feigned he took his counsel from a deer. Now it's all about bravery, chivalry. Now you can watch them risking all in frail timbers on treacherous seats by routes never charted and only emboldened by opposing winds, and only emboldened by opposing winds, having explored so much of the earth from the equator to the midnight sun, they recharge their purpose and are drawn to touch the very portals of the dawn. They were promised by eternal fate, whose high laws cannot be broken. They should long hold sway in the seas where the sun makes its purple, where the sun makes his purple entrance. They have endured a winter's voyage, their people are driven and exhausted. It seems no more than justice would require. Soon they should gain the east of their desire. And since, as you have witnessed, they have encountered in their passage such hazards, such skies and latitudes, such raging repellent winds, I resolve they shall be welcomed on the African coast as friends, and having re-equipped their weary fleet, embark once more to make their quest complete. The Lusiads cantors, thank you for sharing this beautiful poetry with me.